I'm John, also known as Prez, and you're watching Dare Missed Mondays. Thanks for having me on, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, this is really cool because we're in remix mode and we're getting some tracks remixed. Prez, who's on today, has agreed to do some remixes of one of our songs and sounding really good.
Nice.
Tell us a wee bit about the remix and what's happening.
So I'm doing a remix of Red Light, which was, I think, is my favourite track off the record. So
it's funny because Red Light seems to be a track that a lot of people have got back and said that's their favourite song.
Nice, it's cool. I like what's the guy that does the speech about, is it strikes and stuff he's talking about?
Yeah, it's Mario.
Mario.
Something. It's a Italian activist from the 60s, I think. So
I thought that was cool, man. I like protest music and stuff like that, so I like music that incorporates like real issues and stuff, and obviously like the right to protest and strike and everything's kind of got to be defended right now, so it's extra poignant, even though it's him.
It's a kind of timeless quote, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's cool. It gives a real like energy and kind of determination to the song, which I like. So I've been listening to a lot of like Justice and like French house kind of stuff like that at the moment. So that's kind of what the direction I was originally going to take the track in, because it's got such a cool, strong bass line and everything. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to messing around with it a wee bit more and coming up with something interesting.
Definitely.
It's funny how these speeches don't age.
Nah, totally.
Like there's a lot of these speeches where you could hear them in today, and rallying people like that. People's like anger and frustration, and and that was back in, when was that? That was the mid '60s. Was that when he was doing that speech? Yeah. And it could be done today. Yeah, totally. And I think that's what keeps it relevant.
A band I saw called Fever 333, and I think in their kind of intro track, I think it was Charlie Chaplin's Great Dictator speech, or it was from an old Charlie Chaplin film, but they'd worked it in with lots of more recent quotes and everything, and it was really cool, a really interesting way of doing it. The guy, when they start the show, when the lights come on, it's the singer, has got like a bag over his head, and then he rips the bag off and then just starts screaming, and it's one of the most intense live bands I've ever seen.
I was watching a Charlie Chaplin video the other day, and it was he was blind ice skating on the top floor of a library, and there was no banisters or anything to stop him from falling off. And he was doing all these tricks as if he was going to fall off. Yeah. And I didn't know he'd done that kind of stuff. No. I was like, what? And it had like that pure, see the silent movie music. Like, like pure like nice plinky plonky music. Yeah. He's doing this like death-defying, crazy tricks.
It's almost like OG kind of Jackass, like carry on, like crazy. The only time I've ever been ice skating, I broke my thumb. So that wouldn't be one for me to try. Well, actually it might, because I would fall over instantly, and then I wouldn't actually be able to go anywhere near the edge. But
before we get into some of the other remixes that you've done recently, maybe tell us a wee bit about the band stuff you've been doing in the past and the stuff you're doing now. And
the first band I was kind of properly in were called Easy. That was when I first moved to university, like 5 or 6 years ago. And we were kind of like a 5-piece funk and soul band, and I played guitar, so it was kind of like Chic and Nile Rodgers style guitar stuff, which was just so much fun. It's just like a couple of chords per tune, and it's just super funky and percussive. But I had a Les Paul guitar, so because I liked rock music when I was in school, so it didn't really work at all. And I was like just about to convince myself to invest in a Strat, and then we decided actually we weren't going to carry on with that. And then I joined a band called Kendama, so it's just me and the singer, so I play drums, and it's kind of like a 21 Pilots type setup. I think we played like 35 live shows all over the UK or something, so we're like quite like live is why we're a band. So obviously with last year totally wiping out live music, we had quite big plans for it. We were going to really had shows booked in Manchester, Newcastle, and all over England, and it was going to be quite a big year for us. So we decided to just totally take a step back and not put anything out I think we did like Stuart did one live stream gig or something. He said he pure hated it because he's used to all the noise and the energy of a show and didn't like just being sat down at the piano. So in that space, I was kind of like, I need to do something creative or I'm going to go totally mental. And I'd always wanted to. I'd done remixes since I was in like school and that, like just messed around with stems, and I was like, well, I might as well actually give that a go, see if that's something I could be any good at. So the first proper remix I did was a band called buckaroo from Edinburgh who I'd played with. We did 2 nights with them at Sneaky Pete's in Edinburgh when I was playing with Kendama. So
the cupboard, is that like you call it?
Yeah, I know.
Most venue ever.
What an amazing venue!
I know.
It's a terrible for parking.
I know.
Edinburgh is a. See when you get asked to play an Edinburgh gig, you're like, oh yes, we get to go to Edinburgh, and you're like, oh no, we've got to go to Edinburgh.
I know. Yeah,
we've got to get the van parked down some alleyway, double yellow, hoping that you won't get a parking ticket.
Especially like being in a band with only 2 people, like. We've learned to. Did you ever play the game Buckaroo, where you put all the stuff on the back of the kangaroo and then it kicks off? That's like the 2 of us trying to play shows, especially when we've got to bring a drum kit as well. We're just like absolutely loaded with stuff because we've got to just get it in one go so we can go back and move the car. Yeah, that's almost part of the charm of playing gigs in general, is just having to park in the weirdest places and run before anyone finds you.
Where did the Del Prez name come from? What's that all about?
My favourite films growing up when I was in school were Wayne's World 1 and 2. Don't know if you've seen them. I mean,
Wayne's World.
Yeah,
I've only seen the first
one. I once went as Garth to a Halloween party with no one dressed as Wayne, so I was just like in a blonde wig with like a Led Zeppelin t-shirt on, and everyone was like, what are you doing?
I like to play.
I like to play. But in the second one, there's Dale Preston, the roadie, who's been on tour with like the Doors and everyone, and he's just a bit mad. And I was just like, why don't I just call? Because I'd started up like a kind of promotions company a couple of years ago, in fact a good while ago, because it was when I was still living down in Ayr and I was putting on shows in Ayr. And Dale, I think it was Dale Preston Promotions was like the name of it, and I put on like 3 shows and all of them lost so much money because there's no like actual music venues in Ayr, so you'd have to pay like 200 quid extra to get someone bring a PA in like into just a wee pub or whatever. And so I decided
welcome to the music industry.
I was like being a promoter wasn't quite what I was wanting to do at that time when it was costing me so much. So but I got a good name out of it, so hopefully all that money wasn't lost for nothing.
It is great, and the visuals that you've put out for it as well, they look
thanks, man.
You know, it's got a bit of a retro neon synth pop vibe to it.
You can't.
It looks fantastic.
You can't beat like neon purple and blue like drive type stuff. It's a winning combination. Yeah.
So back to remixes that you're currently working on as well, or stuff that you've maybe had released, because you've had a couple of stuff played on BBC Introducing as well.
So the remix I did for Dave Green, who is actually quite a cool story. So Grant Irvin, who is Dave Green, used to be in a band called Model Aeroplanes, who were, I think they signed to Ireland when I was like 16 and they were maybe 18, 19 or something, so they were dead young.
Yeah, I remember the Model Aeroplanes.
They were class, man. They were really good. But because I was from like just a wee town in the middle of nowhere, but my girlfriend was from Dundee and she knew Grant. I think it was like her mum was friends with Grant's mum or something. Grant and Model Aeroplanes were kind of like the first like real band that I ever knew, because I knew I liked music and I travelled through to Glasgow for gigs and that, but I didn't know any kind of bands that were on the up that were being really successful. So it was really cool to meet Grant and see other young people like actually doing really well. They were class, like played shows with Biffy and everything like that. And then I've known Grant for since I was maybe 17 or so, and I love the stuff he's doing as Dave Green, and I just really like that song. As soon as I heard the wee like kind of vocal chop hook, I want
to do something with it.
I kind of knew exactly where I wanted to take it, and because it was still like winter and it was dead cold and horrible weather. I was like, I want to make something that sounds really just like a beach, just super like cheesy and sunny. And yeah, I did that, and we didn't even plan to like properly put it out on Spotify or anything. I just stuck it up on my SoundCloud, and I was kind of like, might as well send it to BBC Introducing and Amazing Radio and stuff, and they all played it. So we're like, it must be good enough. So we just stuck it out, and yeah, it's gone down really well. So it's been cool. It's nice to have something properly out in the world, as opposed to just kind of like SoundCloud's great and I love it, but it doesn't feel, you don't get the same.
I think we found that when we put the album out, it was like a kind of not validation.
Line in the sand.
What's the word I'm looking for?
You can't take it back now. You can't change anything else, because I'm so bad for going back and altering the slightest stupid wee things that no one's going to notice at all.
We're the same.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And you could do that forever. Like sometimes you just got to have someone tell you, like, that's enough. Like, do something.
Yeah,
new.
stop.
Stop wasting your
The way
time.
things are.
Walk away.
Yeah, the way things are now, they lend themselves to that as well.
Yeah.
They're designed to keep you working on it for as long as you physically can. So
Yeah.
buy more plugins and
I know, yeah.
all these
totally.
things and spend money, you know.
It's no surprise that through lockdown on social media feeds, like the amount of adverts for plugins and video editing overlays and sample packs and movie sounds. You need this movie sound plugin pack for your editing software. It's like
probably a solid 8 months in a row. Every time I go on YouTube is the Dead Mouse masterclass video. It's just the exact same one over and over again. Just like, when will this end? Like, how many times do I need to skip this before it realises that I'm not interested? And it was what was it, Fiverr as well. I keep getting that, and it's just such an annoying advert.
Have you seen the Carlos Santana one? I'm not a mad Santana fan, but he's like, if you want to play better, just close your eyes and you pull the best face you can pull. And he's like, and you're like, that's really not a masterclass.
Yeah. Like,
who's paying for this?
You're 8 hours of him just making stupid faces.
Yeah. And then the other one I always get is Ditto, which we use.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like,
we already buy it. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we're already subscribed.
Converted here. How do you just say I actually have this? Yeah. It's like, you need the latest platform for your music, and I'm like, I've got it.
Like, leave me alone. My favourite version of that is when you look up a website. So say you look up look up Ditto on Google, and then the very top thing is an ad for Ditto, and then underneath it's also for that, and I'm like, why would you advertise to people that have just searched for your product?
Most of the people I know, they use it as a tool to provide them with more stuff to buy.
Yeah.
So they just talk about stuff. It's like, this is great, because I just talk about stuff, and then it's there. I can get it straight away. You know, I'm buying it.
It's really unethical how much data they're harvesting from everyone.
Oh, it must be.
And obviously, like with TikTok being pure massive now, and that's like owned by a company in China that you can't regulate as well. It's like, how much.
And we as musicians need it to survive to make a living in the world, or not a living in the world.
How did it go from fidget spinners to TikTok?
I know.
It was like the quickest evolution ever. It's like the exact same client base.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have such fond memories of Vine as well. That makes it hurt even more, because Vine was just so good, and I'll just sometimes sit for hours and watch like old Vine compilations on YouTube and stuff. But I'm just like, we had this, and they were left with TikTok. Like, when
social media was at its height for musicians, it was MySpace, an actual dedicated platform for musicians to do what they want. And now it's just, we've been using Facebook quite a lot, obviously with the release of the album. And I can't believe how terrible the whole thing is. The if you're running a business or you're in a band or you're trying to promote something, it's a nightmare. Like, none of the platforms work the way you want them to work. Notifications come up on my computer and I click on them and it doesn't take me to them. And then you've got, you must go to the page ads management tool now, and you're like, what's going on?
The worst buzz ever is like, it's not too bad for me now. Like, I've only got like 200 likes on Facebook or something, but with Kendama we had over 1,000, and there was some posts that we would put out and it would maybe reach like 30 folk, And you're just
Yeah.
like, how? And then you've got to pay to reach people that already like your page, and you're like, where's the sense in that? Like, well, I suppose the sense is that you can make a lot of money from it, but
They make the money.
Yeah.
What have you been doing down through lockdown to get away from tunes? You've been doing a remix and your head's been bursting with it, and you need to take time out. What sort of stuff have you been doing to chill, apart from going for a walk?
Yeah, I know. That would be my first answer. But me and my girlfriend have racked up about 900 games of Mario Kart or so over the past year, and it's like it gets proper heated. Like, it's a good proper like road rage. So I've played a whole lot of Mario Kart, and that's kind of it, to be honest. I've been reading a bit, but like
pro drifting techniques.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a more viable career than being a musician now.
Which streamer of Mario Kart? I wonder.
What have you been reading?
Normal People. I read her first one, Conversations with Friends. Sally Rooney, that's the one. Sally. So I read Conversations with Friends and then Normal People, because we obviously watched the programme and fell in love with your man, Paul Mescal, the handsomest Irishman to ever be. So it was nice to actually read, because it was like the first fiction that I've read in years, because I've got so many like Noam Chomsky books and stuff like that, like proper heavy kind of political commentary and that, which I really enjoy reading. But during all this, like at the start of lockdown, I was reading a book about the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and I was just like, this is so heavy right now, like this is not what I need, is to be reading about.
Why don't we put some Sigur Rós on in the background
exactly,
as well?
Yeah.
You know?
I just fall deeper into the pit of despair. So I've been trying
I love Sigur Rós, by the way.
Yeah, I know they're quality,
bands, but they're not a lockdown band.
No, they're not, definitely.
Radio 6 have just done a full day of pop, like just total unashamedly pop.
Nice.
And they were like, look, we know we play loads of obscure stuff on Radio 6, but the world needs pop today. It's
just cheesiness,
unfiltered cheese
totally.
pop. So they had like Ant on it and stuff like that. Which apparently
amazing.
Steve Lamacq mixed one of their songs. Apparently, that was one of their songs.
Oh, really?
Total weird combination. There you go.
I've been making a Spotify playlist that I've added a song to every day of the year so far, to just kind of chart my bizarre taste in music. So it goes from like, some days it'll be like super heavy, like Architects or North Lane or like metalcore stuff, and then the next day it's like Taylor Swift or whatever, and it's going to be the worst playlist to put on shuffle at the end of the year, because it's going to be like just so disjointed and all over the place. But I thought it was quite funny to like chart the year in music and see.
I used to do that every year, and actually it's only now that I wish I kept doing it, because when you go back and you listen, it does take you right there. Do you know what I mean? When you go back to these playlists, like I've got ones from like 2014, 2015.
That's cool.
And it's like a lot of those songs you forget, stuff that you found that you're like, I remember that song. But it's definitely a good thing to do.
I love videos of people that have like recorded a second of their day, like every day for the whole year, and then they'll make a 365-second video at the end. And I saw one for last year that was like, they're doing lots of stuff, and then it gets to March and it's just them inside the house every single second for the rest of the video, which is quite funny.
If there was a remix that you could have put your name to, said, I wish I'd done that remix, what would be the one?
That's a good question. There's one, it's like a mashup of a bunch of different songs. One of the songs is I Fall Apart by Post Malone with like an Millennium tune, and then it's all just like most ginormous sounding drop that you can come up with. I think it's on the Proximity channel on YouTube, and it's like a mashup, and it's just so good. It's like so ridiculously huge, it's just like a wall of noise, but that's brilliant. I love things that are just like ludicrously big. Actually, in fact, the one I was listening to the other day, speaking of Taylor Swift, a guy called Dylan Brady, who's in 100 Gex, did a remix of her tune, what is it? I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In. And it's just like, it's crazy. It's only like a minute and 30 seconds long. And it's just, exactly, that's what you need. It's like verse, build, drop, end. And you're like, that's
almost
that's
too much.
It.
I know I keep going back to it, but the Max Graham remix of Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes. So it's just you take something that's so like Well, I know that song's not as prog as they would, usually do. I know that's a bit more of a pop song for them, but take that song and do what he did with it. It's incredible. I remember stumbling across that track, and I think I must have listened to it about 20 times in a row. So for those people that are looking to find out more about Del Prez and what you're doing, what are the links? What are the...
I'm just at Del Prez Music on everything, so you type in Del Prez Music everywhere, hopefully you'll find me.
Stick the links in below.
And then I've just got the one song on Spotify just now as well, but I've got hopefully a good amount more coming out this year. So I've got such a long way to go and so many things to work out before I get to be able to play live. But I'm already like trying to book shows for the end of the year, and I'm like, I've not even got a full set's worth of music yet or anything. Like I've got none of the things that I need to be able to play live. But I'm just like, if I book shows,
if you don't book the gig, it'll never happen. I know.
Exactly.
Give yourself a deadline. Give yourself a deadline.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up, baby.
Well, this has been Dermis Mondays. Thank you very much for having me on, boys. Good to chat to you. Looking forward to putting out the remix I did of Red Light at some point in the future as well. So look out for that. I've been Del Prez.
You've been watching Dermis Mondays. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff. And we will
ring the bell.
And we'll catch you next week. What did you say? What did you say to sign off there, John? You said, what was it?
Nah, it wasn't.
It wasn't good enough.
There was one. You said something though. What was it you said?
Was it party on?
Party on.
Party on, way.
That was it.
Party on.
That was it.
Party on, guys.
We'll do this. I'll do the sign off again then.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it, but like times 1,000.
Yeah, Wayne's World style.
And Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Right, you've been watching Dermis Mondays, and we'll see you next week. Bye. See ya.
Party on.